Hello everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Legion painting tutorial. Now my style is just to get it done quickly, it's not going to be fancy or win you any competitions, and I'm using as many as my new favourite contrast paints as possible. Now today's one, as you can see, is going to be a Rebel Trooper, which I might think, personally for me, maybe one of the more difficult factions to paint out of the four main ones, since one, there's no helmets, like full face helmets, so there's faces to do this time and hair, unlike the clones and the Imperials, and obviously then the droids who are just robots and have no faces anyway. And also you got a little bit more camouflage patterns, and I think I've done an okay job with the contrast paints, and it's up to you what you think in the end, but I quite like them. So let's delve in to see how I managed to finish this guy off.
Okay, so let's get started. So I started off with base coating our Rebel soldier using a army painter spray uniform grey. So I also get a pot as well, just in case I miss any areas or need to go over any areas. I like grey. And like black, it still you can see plenty of detail on the model, doesn't make it too dark, and like white, when you use contrast paints on it, it turns up quite light. And then like black, grey, you can still use contrast paints, and some areas if you paint them a bit white, the contrast paint just has a whole different shade of colour. So what we're going to do is start off with a contrast paint. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to be going over the trousers, basically any kind of top that they've got on, so like the t-shirt type thing, jacket, all of it. And then we're also going to do the top of the helmet and the side bits as well, and we're going to be using a contrast paint. We're going to use contrast militarum green, give it a good shake, and just it doesn't matter if you go over any areas you don't want to, because we can just cover that up at a later stage. So let's get this done and give it a good shake. Okay, so that is done. It's still a little bit wet, but it's mostly dried now, and contrast paints I just think are brilliant. So you might think this green is a bit much, all over the model pretty much, but I think it, as the Rebel Alliance are just basically mass producing cheap uniforms, not really caring about variety in colour, just trying to get their foot soldiers coated. But we'll be going over one or two of the green areas with a different colour. Basically, we'll see that at a different point anyway, just to mix it up a little bit. So while that is drying, we're going to be doing the boots. So we're going to be doing the boots with contrast black Templar. Okay, so that is the boots done. So you can see just above the boot is what I would call a gaiter. I'm not sure what other people would be calling this, but it just basically keeps the trousers neat and tidy, so that you're not like standing on your trousers as you're walking. So I've left that grey, because we're going to be doing that in a different colour. So basically what we're going to be doing next is the gloves and the gaiters, and what we're going to be doing as well, your choice really. I'm going to be doing the kind of like t-shirts this colour as well, or you could do the jacket that colour, you could do the trousers this colour, or mix and match between each model, just to vary it up as I mentioned earlier. And we're going to be using contrast snakebite leather. So might think a bit strange colour, because you probably remember what the actual snakebite leather looks like, but over a grey base coat and obviously over a little bit of green as well, it looks a bit different. So we will bear with me. So what I'll do, I'll apply it, let it dry, and you guys see what you think. Okay, it's a little bit of a sheen because it's still drying. So as you can see, I basically did the jacket just so you can see the difference. So gloves were just grey, snakebite leather, and then the jacket just gives it more of a greeny, browny colour, and then you can see the gaiters that colour as well. So next we're going to be doing the belt, the backpacks with the straps. So this guy as more of like a technical backpack, so we'll be leaving that for now. Some of them are a bit of a mix, so the like kind of canvas area we're going to be doing this stage, and any pouches as well on the belts. Leave the pouches on the trousers, they can stay that colour, so just keep an eye out the models because all of them are a little bit different. And what we're going to be using, we're going to use Surprise, another contrast paint. It is Contrast Wildwood. Okay, so you can just about make out the webbing done and the straps. I did actually go a little bit making it look like there's some sort of strapping behind this electrical gear, but here's one I did earlier who actually does have a backpack, so you can see that it looks a little bit better there. Okay, so next we're going to be doing what remains of the helmet. So this grey area does extend a little bit sometimes over the ear, and I know some of it we painted green earlier, so some of it we're going to keep the same, so we'll do that. We're going to be doing it another contrast paint. We're going to be using Kygor Brown. Okay, so that is the helmet done. So finally we're going to be moving on to the weapons. So what I've noticed a lot with Star Wars weapons, they're quite plain. Doesn't seem overly a lot of detail on it. Other people might disagree. There's the odd button here and there. So what we're going to be doing, and since we're trying to do this, not rushing, but as quickly as possible, we're just going to be doing the whole weapon with Contrast Black Legion. Now if you can see any like wooden stocks or handles, then do that with Wildwood. But other than that, just chuck Contrast Black Legion on there, but try not to go over the areas you've already done. So there we have the gun done. Of course, if you want to add a little bit more detail to it, feel free to go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. So next we're going to be using a non-contrast paint. So any white colour will do. I recommend more of a base coat in white. So I'm using Army Painter Matte White. It's nice colour, and it matches the spray paint I've got, so that's why I've got that one. So we're going to be doing the face. If there is any hair on the model, you can do it that colour. So obviously you're going to be a little careful now not to go on any areas. Check as well to see if you can see any skin on any v-neck t-shirts you might have. There's no hair on this one. The only one I've noticed at the moment is a female trooper, and there's one with a beard as well. So you can do it there as well, and just you might have to just do it again later on. So we'll do that, and we'll wait for that to dry. Okay, so that is the face done. Keep your white paint to the side, because once the skin is finished, you'll probably want to have to go over the facial hair on some of the models as well. So while we wait for this to dry, some of these models have little insignia markings. So usually I've seen them on the left chest, or some of them are on the arms. So basically they kind of remind me of like lozenge packets, or any sort of tablet that has just been kind of reversed. It's a bit strange, but if you know what I mean, you know what I mean. So the Imperials have them as well, but basically we're just going to be doing the overall area a metal colour. So we're going to be doing base Iron Hand Steel, and because they're infantry, the final stage is going to be red, but we'll go over it, and I'll try and find one. I don't think this is one on his arm, but if I can just get under there, you can just about make it out on that one there. I can't really quite get the light and the angle, but hopefully you understand what I mean, and I maybe can find a better example. So do that, and if you can't find it, you can just skip this step. Okay, found one with the insignia, so I've just done it, so it's just there. And also this guy has a few metal things on his belt as well, like shells or whatnot, or grenades. So that is done. So again, we need to wait for stuff to dry. So what we will do is those metal backpack areas, so we've still left it grey, we're going to be doing it Basilicanum grey. Back to the contrast paints. Just remembered a metallic area to do, the belt buckle. So you can do it the silvery colour, or you can do it a bronzy colour, it's up to you. And that's it. So just basically as I was doing the backpacks, which is still wet as you can see, I remember that. So we'll come back after that's dry. Okay, so that is the backpack done. Again, if you want to add a little bit more detail, feel free to do so. So The white on the face is now dry, so we're going to be going over that with contrast Guilliman Flesh. And this is also quite good because it will show up a lot of the facial hair that may be on the model as well. Okay, so that is the Guilliman Flesh dried. So what you can do then is, as you can see, this guy has a bit of a moustache. Just do whatever colour you want for the facial hair. But if you're going to use a contrast paint, go over it with that white colour first. Or if it's a darker contrast paint, you could probably just paint over it. So I'll probably be putting Wildwood on his moustache here, so we'll have a little look at that. But while we're doing that, we'll also do the Insignia pads using Evil Sun Scarlet, so it's nice bright red. So I have done it on some of the others, so you can see just about that guy. Might be able to make it out. There you go. So that is done, so we will do his little moustache, and I'll show you some of the other beards and whatnot. So we'll do that and see how it looks. Okay, so I just put Wildwood straight onto this guy's moustache here, so that is one. And then this one I put Snakebite leather, and this guy with the beard I put white and then Snakebite leather, so you can see the difference between the gloves with the white, with the grey base coat and the white base coat makes a big difference. And then this guy I couldn't resist. Basically painted it white and then used contrast Apothecary white to give him a nice white beard, kind of like that guy in Return of the Jedi on Endor. So that is pretty much the model painted, so now we're going to start working on the base. So basically we're going to be going around the edge of the base using Vallejo Hell Red. If you've got a Citadel or any other paint similar colour, the kind of rusty red, use that instead. It's just because this is mainly what the colour they originally is done in, so we'll use that and then we'll see how it looks. Okay, so that is the edge of the base done. Does look quite nice. Colour matches more or less how they were before I base coated them. So now we're going to be adding some texture onto the top of the base, and we're going to be using this stuff. It's called AK Terrains Dark Earth. It's really nice stuff. I got a sand version and it works really well, I think. So let's apply it and see how it looks. Okay, so that is dry now. It does look a good mud effect. So that we're not going to stop there though. We're going to be adding some static grass and some tufts. Doesn't really matter on the colour. Obviously you could do it really nice and sci-fi, but static grass and a bit of tufts just brings the base alive a little bit. So we'll apply them and you can see the finished results. So there we have it, our finished Rebel Trooper. So with the base in, looks a little bit nice, brings out the greens on the model. I like to put a little like number on the back, and it's a bit wonky. That's probably the worst part of my paint job so far, just to identify which squads they're in or units, rather than having too many tokens around the table. But there we go. I hope you found that useful. Definitely probably one of the harder ones to paint out of Star Wars Legion. So there we go. And if they'll probably be the Imperial Stormtroopers coming up next, so they're going to be very similar to the clones, but a slight difference here and there. So hope you enjoyed.